So a lot of times people open restaurants, hopefully it will pay you a salary, hopefully it will pay your mortgage, at least give you a job, right? But in this case, the client was bleeding lots and lots of money. Eventually they were able to cut it down so they're only bleeding 5,000. I didn't even want to ask what the upper limit was, how much they were bleeding. I know other restaurants were bleeding hundreds of thousands per month. But what's worse is that their E-2 attorney would not respond to their calls and was telling them that they just had to leave the country. So they were freaking out, they contacted us, and we got them a 2-year bonus E-2 with the Mexico entry. Let me show you how. Hi everyone, my name is Joseph. I'm the managing partner here at Tsang and Associates, where we solve legal problems with creative solutions. So the client got their status as an E-2 investor. They invested in a restaurant, they were running the restaurant, and then COVID hit and the restaurant was shutting down. It's extremely difficult time. But what's worse is she only had a period of stay in the US for so long. And once that expires, you need to extend it, right? Just like any other visa. Well, the attorney, the firm that she was working with during COVID, maybe change in personnel, they stopped responding to her. And the only response that she was able to get was, you just need to leave the country and go back to the consulate where you came from and get a new visa to come in. And it was incredibly risky, right? Because the restaurant was obviously in the stage of shutting down. It's not viable and it's very, very difficult. And if she goes back now, there's a high chance the case will be denied and she won't be able to come back. And there's all these issues that she needed to deal with here. So a friend referred her over to me. We started talking and I was like, well, you could also present your case here and now to a CBP customs officer because your E-2 visa was still valid. And if you're able to prove to them that you've been engaging in a business, even though the business is sucking, but it's COVID, you have a good explanation.
COVID-19 has been brutal for the restaurant industry. As winter approaches, the prospect of mass closures is a near inevitability.
They could revalidate it and let you come back in and give you another 2 years. And in that 2 years, you can prepare your case better so that you can leave and then get a new E-2 visa, right? It's all about timing. As long as your visa is valid, even if the visa is about to expire, you can get additional 2 years. Now, in that 2 years, if you leave, you cannot come back in because your visa is no longer valid. But her visa still had like a few months left, right? So go in, present your case, come back in, and now you have an additional 2 years. And she's like, but is this successful? Is it possible? It's definitely possible, but here are the questions that they will ask you. What is your business? How is your business? Is it gonna be successful? What have you been doing? And they, all of these things, prepare your business plan, just like you did for your initial interview at your E-2 consulate. Prepare to do that again here. We prepared the case, we presented it, we drove down together, we entered Mexico together, and I brought her before the CBP officer and we presented everything. And it was the nicest interview she could have possibly asked for. Because at first they were like, oh, okay, it's an E-2 investor, it's a business, you're rich, okay, let's talk business, right? What's your revenue, right? They were asking these boring questions. But the moment she said she runs a Mexican restaurant, all the officers were like, what? And then other officers came over and they're like, oh, what's your favorite food? And then she just started speaking Spanish. Like this Asian client started talking in Spanish about all the Mexican dishes and why her salsa is different from other salsa and why her salsa is really, really good in fluent Spanish. And then the officers were like, okay, all right, looks legitimate, right? And without looking further into the numbers. So I didn't even get to the part where I talk about how difficult COVID was and how the government loans and how she was able to get some loans, but she didn't get other loans and she was able to power through it. I didn't even get to all that explanation. We just spent the entire time talking about how good Mexican food was, right? The officer stamped the passport, we came back. The entire thing, the entire process was no more than 30 minutes. And 15 to 20 minutes of that is walking and waiting in line. She gets back in her car and she was able to drive back and life is good, right? And so that's a crazy thing, right? Being able to revalidate your visa is such a huge perk, but very few people know about it. So just want to let everybody know it's definitely doable. Sometimes buying yourself an extra year, a year and a half to prepare your case better so you can actually get a new visa is key. This is a secret creative solutions to that legal problem. Take care. Bye-bye.